Do you feel like you're always staring at your phone screen or your camera and you're wondering to yourself, what in the world am I going to film today? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you the easiest way to have endless amount of content ideas that will actually build trust with your audience. Now, this is what happens when you feel like you're running out of ideas. You're creating content basically off of what you feel like you would think your audience want to watch and what you feel convicted and motivated to share. And when you don't have that same conviction or motivation, or you run through the list of ideas that you think of what they will want to watch, that's when you feel like you're always wondering, what am I going to film today? You see, the videos that you're filming, they're internally. Those videos are coming from inside you rather than externally, being curious on what it is that they want to see. You see, the true content isn't hidden within you, it's hidden within them. If you would listen and ask questions and be curious on exactly what they want to watch and see. How do I know this? Because I will be the first to admit that most of my content ideas when I started creating content came from what I thought other people would want to see. I was covering a range of topics such as depression, the law of attraction, why happiness is a terrible objective to to chase, and all kinds of topics. The fear of judgment, the fear of rejection, and the fear of failure. Right. And once I covered all through those topics of what I felt motivated and convicted to share, I was like, man, I don't know what else I should be filming because I didn't know my audience clear enough to know exactly what they would want to watch. I was just making an intelligent inference, right? And a lot of the content that I was creating was actually selfish. Why? Because it was based off what I wanted to film, not exactly what they wanted to watch. And that's why that type of content, I call it selfish content. That's why that type of content does not build trust. You see, there's only two reasons why someone will come on YouTube: to be entertained based off of a problem that they want to avoid, or to be educated on solving that problem. And if you're not creating videos catered specifically for them, for those two purposes, they won't have a reason to watch that video or stay long enough to watch more videos to really build trust with you by going deeper into understanding how you think and what you're all about. So I had to make this shift because it was easy for me to believe that I was getting burnt out because I didn't have a lot of ideas. And the content that I was filming, it wasn't growing my channel, right? And I was posting all these videos that I thought was great. But you know who those videos were great to? Me. Because the people who I was trying to film it for, they didn't care about it. So I had to get into this point of really understanding my audience and turning my conversations into content. Here's what I mean by that. I would have conversations with the people who were ideally who I was creating content for, and I would do everything that I could to better understand them so that I can create content based off of what they said. I would pay attention to some of the problems, some of the pains, the frustrations that they were having, what it is that they wanted to experience. I would ask deep questions about them personally. And not only that, I would use the type of wording and phrasing that they did. And that's extremely important. Why? Because when you're using their type of wording or phrasing, oftentimes it's not just them who's thinking in that way. It's also more people similar to them who's thinking that way. And when you're using that similar wording and phrasing, you're signaling to those type of people that you understand them. They're going to think that you've been through where they are. They're going to trust that you are the best option to help solve their problem. A great example of this would be this. I was having a conversation a while ago with a past client of mine, and he was referring to me that he wanted to create content, but the problem was that he didn't feel like he had enough experience. And so he didn't want to show up on camera and appear as a fraud. So what did I do? I turned that conversation into content. I talked about what I did to not necessarily overcome imposter syndrome. I don't think that you can truly overcome it, but I believe there are ways to reduce it. And I was within that video, I was using some of the wording and phrasing that he was using. Why? Because he's not the only one who experienced it that way. I have, and so many others as well. And what that video does is that it builds trust. with more of those similar individuals. When I'm using that same wording and phrasing as far as not wanting to appear as a fraud, they're going to think to themselves, "Oh my goodness, he's been through exactly what I have. He's felt what I'm feeling right now. You know what? I think I can trust that he can help me overcome this or reduce this." I had a guy from Africa who reached out to me via TikTok, and he was telling me that one of his biggest problems when it comes to speaking is that he stammered a lot. And it was frustrating and aggravating because his friends, they would pick on him. Not only that, his job was he was a salesman. He sold, I think, fruit on the street. So his job required him to talk. And every time he would talk, he would feel that pressure in his chest, and it will prevent him from speaking the way that he wanted to. So I used all this information that he gave me, and I said, "You know what, man? I'm gonna make a video for you so that I can help you overcome this problem." And within this video, I not only gave him the tools necessary to reduce that stammering every time he speaks, I spoke in a way that he can relate to because I use his wording and his phrasing to share that I understand what he was going through, to build that trust that he understands that I can be the option that truly helps him overcome that problem. I had someone else from Africa. I guess the Africans, they love me, and I'll read her message. She was telling me that she's someone with zero confidence and she's an introvert. She don't know how to respond when someone is talking to her, and she always feels shy. And she said that she tried a lot of methods to be more extrovert and someone who could communicate long enough around other people, but that didn't seem to work. And she was just tired. And she was scared that this was going to be the way that she would just have to live life. So I said, "You know what? Don't worry about it. I got you." So I gathered all the information, and again, I turned that conversation into content. And within that content, I used the exact wording and phrasing that she did. Why? Because my job is to cater to her, and the only way that I can is to speak in a language that she understands. And the result of that, and the guy who that I did have a conversation with, they were impacted greatly from that advice because it wasn't generic, it was catered to them, but it was all also practical for them. I have a friend a while back, he had messaged me on how he was just getting into college, and I'm reading off his message. But he was mentioning that he had a hard time and he was not good at opening up to people and speaking to people who he didn't know because he was an introvert. And he didn't want to feel alone, right? He wanted to it's within our natural ability to want to be a part of some type of social group. And that's what he wanted. He wanted connection. So I said, "Don't worry about it, bro. I got you." And I turned that conversation into content. I'm telling you now, some of the best content you will create will be the conversations that you have with others who you're looking to serve. So when you're having these conversations, you really have to pry. You have to be intentional with really understanding that individual in different aspects of their life. Because again, that's the content. They are the content, not you, not what's internally. They are the content. So here's my process. When I'm having a conversation with someone, I'm asking them in-depth questions. I'm not asking them the yes or no questions. I'm really trying to get to understand them and get to know them so I can best serve them. And after I feel like I've got enough information from them, I'll jot it down. Not only will I jot down what it is their problem is, their frustrations, and what they would like to overcome, and what they would like to, what outcomes they would like to have. I will also write down the type of wording and phrasing that they use so that I can implement that in the content that I create. And when I'm filming my videos, I'm putting all of that in. I'm putting some examples, and I'm even putting some personal experience, some of the mistakes that I made, some of the frustrations and the pains that I had, and what I was going through and how I overcame it, right? Because that helps build the trust. When they can see that you've been through where they are and you've overcame what they're looking to overcome. So if you want to stop having a blank screen every time you will turn on their camera, have more conversations with the individuals who you will be creating content for, and truly be intentional with listening and understanding them so that you can cater your content specifically for them. By the way, if you're sick of comparing yourself to others, thinking that you lack the experience and you don't want to appear as a fraud when you do show up on camera, just as a plug-in, I'm gonna go ahead and put that video down in the description for you. If you're ready to take control of your life and develop that confidence that you've always been waiting for, then these two videos will help with that.